Good morning, it's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself, and today we are going to talk about the stress response. I'm at home, but that's not how this video started out. It started out on a walk as per usual, and I want you to watch the video because we are going to pick it up from here and we're going to talk about the stress response in action today. Go ahead.
Good morning. It's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself, and today we're going to talk about stress. Okay, I know you guys are probably going to say, like, stress, it's not my problem. I have a chronic illness, I have a mental condition, a physical pain, I have a physical problem, I have a serious life-threatening condition. But if this is you, stick with me. Stick with me. I know it's hard to believe. It is very hard to believe that it comes down to something like stress. But your nervous system is programmed. You're either in sympathetic mode, you're in parasympathetic mode, and you're either in a stress response or you're in a healing response. I guarantee you that if you have a chronic illness of any kind, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, then you have a stress problem. Stress comes in many different forms, okay? And that's what I think people forget. Stress can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be mental, environmental. So when we're talking about physical stress, that can be anything that we're doing physically that is stressful on our body. A lot of hard work, and we're really physically tiring ourselves out. Okay, so that's one way. Stress, mostly, a lot of people think it's emotional. And it is. Stress is very emotional. But even if you're not dealing with a lot of emotional problems, stress can still be coming from your emotions. What are you holding down? What are you stuffing down? Who's bothering you? How are you interpreting your relationships? What he said, what she said, right? So this emotional stress might not even have anything to do with somebody else. It could have everything to do with your own inner feelings. How do you feel about your life? What is bothering you, right? So if you're having stress, if you're having a response in emotions with your life, this is also activating your stress response. Then we have mental stress. So what kind of pressure mentally, what kind of thoughts are you thinking that are stressing you out, right? Is your mind overactive? Do you have the monkey mind? Is it going a mile a minute? This is stressful to your system, right? So the thoughts going around in your head, the mental problem solving that is going on, the monkey mind, the even ambitious or motivated person has this kind of stress, right? It's a mental stress overload on your brain. Okay, and then we have environmental stress. So what is happening in the environment that's possibly stressing your body when it comes down to things like toxins, right? The water, the air, the things, what burdens are being placed on your body that are stressful.
Okay, I'm back. You might wonder, so what happened after that video? Well, my dogs were pulling. They're always driving me crazy on this walk. I'm in a new location, so I can't let them off their leashes. I can't walk the way I would normally walk with them. And so it's been really hard for me to make videos. And they pull on the leashes. They sort of get the tension going in my neck. And when another dog comes, my one dog's not very friendly. It always tries to bark and lunge and bite. The same thing happened yesterday. And they pulled out of my hands. They got tangled up. I was trying to make a video. I dropped my phone. I stepped on my phone. I broke my phone. And I was just like, so stress, right? Stress rose in me. I got super angry. I put my phone back in my pocket and I'm like, I'm done. I am not walking these dogs and trying to make videos anymore. Something's got to give. I either have to make videos at home, which there's no everyone's home, everyone's working from home, the kids are homeschooling, there's no privacy, there's no time, there's so much to be done. So the walks were my only time to make videos, or I can't walk my dogs. So this is how stress happens. I want you to see this in action because it's so common, and I'm going to take you through this so you understand. So my stress response, my emotions are sort of spinning out of control to an environmental or a physical stimulus that's happened to me, right? I didn't cause that. I didn't cause the chaos with my dogs getting tangled and him lunging at another dog and me dropping the phone and stepping on. I mean, that was all environmental. That was all physical. That was all whatever. But then my emotional response to it was to be like, okay, something has to change. I can't deal with this. My stress response was high. And I'm like, I can either make the videos on my walk or I can not take my dogs. Now here's the conflict. Really look at this. You always make sort of a lose situation. You have two decisions that are in conflict with each other because it makes me happy when I walk my dogs. It makes me happy every morning when they wag and they're excited to go on the walk. And then when they get home and they're tired, I feel good. I feel like I've done a good thing. But yet when I'm on my walk with them, they're pulling, they're irritating my shoulders, they're not healing. I'm constantly having to pull them back and say, heal, heal, heal. I can't make my videos. They get tangled up, they're running around, they're barking at other dogs. And in my head, I'm thinking, why am I taking for the walk? I hate taking these dogs for a walk. So can you see the dichotomy of the two things happening here? On one hand, I want to take them for a walk. I want it to be great. I want to feel good about it. I do feel good about it. On the other hand, I'm kind of resentful. I wish I didn't have to. It's a little bit of a burden and a responsibility that I have to do that I wish could just be easier and I could go on my walk and just breathe and de-stress and not have them hype me up. So when we are in conflict with ourselves, it's not even that you're under stress. It's not even that I have a lot to do today. It's not even that my to-do list is long. It's not even a relationship that's stressing me. It's not even a symptom. It's just two basic, simple things that are in conflict with each other. That I want this, and I want this. And I want them both, and I can't have them both at the same time. And because I want them both, and because I feel bad about them both, I'm in conflict. So if I'm walking my dogs, I'm feeling annoyed that they're pulling and that I have them and resentful to them. And if I'm not walking my dogs, I feel guilty and like I'm not being a very good dog owner and that, it's not nice of me to not take my dogs out because they get joy from it. So when you're in conflict with two things, basic, easy things in your life, your stress response turns on. It's activated. Period. So it doesn't have to be this major thing that turns on your stress response, okay? So let me keep going here and unfolding this so you can see how this happens very subtly in real time and how it is happening to you. So then I get home, come in the door, I was grumpy, my phone broke. I plug in my phone case, and the first thing I do is walk into my kitchen. First of all, I've been unpacking in this new house. So much going on. There's so much to do. I'm literally the only one doing it because my husband's working, my kids are homeschooling. My dad's got a lot of things going on. So I'm unpacking all this stuff by myself, trying to get everything done, coordinate people, get things moving in the right direction. I walk in to the kitchen and knowing that I have so much to do, and I just see a mess, right? Everybody else's mess. Everybody else's breakfast, not cleaning up, things all over the place that aren't mine. And so I immediately get this jolt of frustration and aggravation and irritation. And I start to respond. I start to react to the stress, to the out of control feeling that I have in my body. Like, why are these people not picking up after themselves? So I call out. I call out to my kids. I call out to my husband. I'm like, nobody cleaned up. Could you clean up after yourself? This isn't right. I shouldn't have to be your maid. These kinds of things. Now, part of me wants to clean up after these people. It wants to clean up after my kids. I want to walk in the door and be a good mom. I want to walk in and lovingly walk over and kiss my kids and hug them and be like, good morning, how are you doing this morning? And say positive, wonderful things to them and just be a good mom. But the irritation rises that I have all this stuff to do and now I also have to clean up after them and I'm seeing this mess, which puts me in chaos. And so I react. I, lose it, or I scream, or I say something I wish I didn't, or I just feel cranky, or I just walk around being irritated. And these two things are in conflict with each other, right? The part of me that wants to say nice things to my kids and be a good mom and always be happy and always just doing the right thing and taking care of them and getting things for them and cleaning up after them and being the good, perfect mom. And the other part of me that is irritated, annoyed, frustrated, and be like, why can't these people pick up after themselves? It's not my job. I don't want to do it. So it's the part that just is the part of me that just is like, I'm tired, I've had enough, I don't want to, right? And then the other part of me that thinks I should, I want to, you know, and these two parts are in conflict. And so again, the inner conflict grows. The stress response is turned on from the inside, not over anything that would seem apparent even to anyone or even to yourself. These things are very subtle, right? Then you move through your day. So let's keep going. Now, you're hungry and you're busy and you're working hard and you think to yourself, I should be making a smoothie. I should be getting this and that. And you go out and you attempt to make this wonderful, healthy, whole food filled smoothie. And you look in the fridge and someone's eaten this and that. And you don't have the ingredients. And now you have to go to the store and you're frustrated in your mind. And all you want to do is make yourself a really wholesome, good breakfast. And on one hand, you want to do that. It fills you up. It makes you feel good. You feel like, oh, I just want to do that. And then on the other hand, you see like something easy to grab, like a handful of nuts or, you know, whatever, like just something little, like you can just grab it out of the cupboard and eat it. And it's okay, it's healthy, but it's not great, right? It's not the wholesome meal that you want. One's easy, one's hard. And you're in conflict, you're in inner conflict with yourself because parts of you wants to make this smoothie. You don't have the ingredients, it's gonna take longer. You have to clean the vitamins, you have to clean the juicer. It's gonna take longer. This is easy, you can just slip your hand in the cupboard, you can grab a handful of almonds or grab, but you're not getting the nutrients, you know you're not doing as best for your body. And then you feel guilt if you do this way, you feel frustrated and irritated if you do this way. So it's like these subtle inner conflicts that you have all day long where part of you doesn't want to do it and part of you does. A lot of you does and part of you doesn't. Part of you wants the responsibility, part of you wants to be taken care of. Part of you wants the control, part of you is exhausted, right? Part of you likes the idea of this, part of you feels guilty, part of you feels stressed, part of you feels exhausted, right? It goes on and on. There's these little dichotomies all day long. And these turn on the inner stress response. It doesn't have to be big. Like I said in the beginning, you can have environmental stressors on your body. You can have physical stressors. You can have mental stressors, emotional stressors on your body. You can also have these inner stressors, I call them, these dichotomy stressors. These part of you wants this, part of you wants that. That's where the tension comes from when something's not all black and white. When it's all black and white, it's easy. You feel all one way about something or all one way about something, it's easy. It's easy. But when you're gray, when part of you feels this way and part of you feels this way, and they kind of are at odds all day long in little ways. And I'm not saying it's ruining your life, but all of them together add up. And they play a major part in turning on this inner stress response and keeping you in tension, okay? This is where the inner tension comes from. And so you might say, I'm not under stress. I don't feel a lot of stress. It's all these little things what add up to this big overall lifestyle of inner tension. So sure, there can be major stressors. There can be obvious stress in your life, like a relationship that's not working, a death that just happened, your physical symptoms, your illness. It could be an environmental stressor that's causing you a lot of stress on your physical body, right? Every time a symptom comes up, you're under stress. Your body's under stress because it has to deal with pain or it has to deal with symptoms. This is also physical stress on your body. But I'm talking about this inner emotional stress that doesn't really need to be there, but it stays there all day long. These tiny little things that add up. So when you can notice these, all I want you to do, your prescription is just to become aware. That's it. Not even to take action, not even to change it, just to notice. Part of me wants these dishes done. The other part of me doesn't feel like doing them, right? So just very simple. Part of me wants to make a smoothie. Part of me doesn't want to clean it up. Part of me wants to be a good mom and make my kids lunch. Part of me wishes they could get it themselves. Part of me likes making my bed every morning so it's neat. Part of me thinks I wish I could just leave it all day, right? So these little parts, I want you to notice all day long, these tiny little, and sometimes they're big, differences, and sometimes they're very small, just a little part of you, just a little part of you. But they add up and they're causing this complete stress response within your body that is activated all day long and keeping you in fight or flight. So today, we are just going to notice. Tomorrow, we're going to learn what to do. Today, it's about noticing all day long. Just notice, just take notes. And even if you literally take notes and write it down, you will really begin to see how much stress, how much inner tension, how much dichotomy exists, little wars that exist in you all day long that keep this tension going.
And so here I am again out on my walk. So again, the guilt weighs out. Like I'm bringing them, I'm doing it. And again, I'm not going to try to do videos on my walks anymore, but I mean, this is the inner tension that we live with, these choices that aren't black and white, that one makes us feel a little bit more guilty or a little bit more irritated, and so it happens to win out in the moment. And that's life. But when we add them all up, when it just goes on and on, that's where we get this chronic inner tension from. And so here's dog number 1 and dog number 2, and you would think, oh, how could they be irritating? Well, you would be surprised. There's one pulling already, and when I let them out, they tangle up. But again, that's life, isn't it? Right? It's not perfect. We want to be in control. We want to give up control. We want it to be perfect. We want things to look nice and to be nice and to feel nice. But then again, we don't want to do any of it. Look at this gorgeous walk. How could anybody feel stressed, right? How could the dogs be stressing me on such a gorgeous walk? And so here's the conflict. My dogs are out. They're on these flex leashes. They're wagging their tail. They're having so much fun. Everyone's excited. And then they get tangled, or another dog comes, or I'm trying to do my video, and get going. And the conflict isn't the dogs. The conflict is that I know I don't want to take the dogs, but I do. The conflict is that part of me wants to just not have them pulling on my wrist. Part of me wants me not to be able to say heel, heel. Part of me not wants them to get tangled, right? Part of me just wants to enjoy the walk, to enjoy the peace, and not have one dragging behind and one dragging up front. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? So it's not the dogs. It's the inner conflict. It's the inner conflict that it creates. It's the conflict once things get tangled and dicey, and one wraps around this pole and one wraps around the other pole. Conflict that they're my dogs. I love them. I want them to be happy. I want them to go on walks. I want them to be joyful. But I also just want to relax. I don't want to say heel. I don't want them pulling on my arm. I want to be selfish. The conflict is the part of you that wants to be selfish and the part of you that doesn't want to be selfish. The part of you that wants to be a great mom and the part of you that wants to just be taking care of yourself. The part of you that wants to do great at work and wants to get a promotion and wants to be successful. And the part of you that just wants to be and doesn't want to do anything and just wants to relax and just wants to take it easy. Right? Adding to your chronic condition that won't ease up no matter what you do, because you're living your life in a chronic state of, I wish I could do that, but I want to do this. Parts of you that have been pushed down, parts of you that have been pushed away, parts of you that are not allowed to not want to take the dogs for a walk, or not allowed to not want to clean up your kid's mess, or not allowed to be angry with the people that you love. This is not a black and white situation. These are all shades of gray, and there's no right or wrong answer. They're all shades of goodness. I could take the dogs on a walk and it's good. I could go by myself for a walk and it's good, but it's that I can't have both at the same time. And if I have one, I might feel annoyed, and if I have the other, I might feel guilty. And that is the conflict that we're dealing with on a daily level, hundreds and hundreds of times over. Little bits adding up, causing inner conflict, causing inner tension, causing you to stay in chronic illness. Please hear me. The stress response is not necessarily you in a calm mode, and then the tiger comes and your stress response gets turned on and you have to fight, flight, or freeze immediately, right? It's not always that, and that's what's so confusing to people because they don't see it. It's like, oh, I don't see the fact that I was calm and then a big danger came in and then my stress response got turned on. It's because it's always on. It was you walking into the kitchen deciding you wanted to make a really healthy smoothie and instead being too lazy and grabbing a banana. And then what you said to yourself about grabbing the banana, the guilt that you put on yourself, like, oh, this is all fruit. It's all, it's not as healthy for me. I didn't have any greens. Like, I'm lazy. It's the internal conflict that you feel from wanting to do one thing but doing another. From you appease your lazy self, the self that just wants to grab the banana and eat it and have it be easy, no mess, no cleanup, no work. And then there's the other part of you that you want to do, you want to be, you want to have the greens, you want to drink them, you want to do this thing, you want to make the whole smoothie, but there's the prep and the making and the cleanup, and those two things are in conflict with each other. And then when you choose one and not the other, remember, there is no right answer here. When you choose one and not the other, because it's all shades of gray, it's what you say to yourself about that and the internal conflict that arises, the guilt, the shame, the anger, the irritation, all these internal feelings that arise and you try to push down because it makes no sense, because it's just a choice between a smoothie and a banana. It makes no sense. It's not even a stress. There was no lion. There was no tiger. How could your stress response be activated? Yet it is. Try to see that it's activated when you are at war between two different things, even the smallest, tiniest, minute things. And you're talking to yourself in a negative way because you can't have both and you have to choose one and not the other, and then you feel badly about either the one that you chose or the one that you didn't choose. This is the conflict that activates your stress response that you don't even realize is activated and keeps it on all day long. Moving from one choice to the next, moving from one relationship to the next, moving from one thing on your to-do list to the next all day long, and you're living in a constant state of activated stress. And then you say, I was home by myself all day. I didn't even see anybody. Nothing happened. How could my stress response have been activated? There was no tiger, there was no lion, there was no big event. But you were with yourself all day. You were having a war with yourself all day. There was tension, inner conflict and tension with yourself that you didn't even recognize or notice because it was so subtle and small. So when people talk about relieving stress in their life, they're looking for the big things. They're looking for the lions. They're looking for the tigers. They're looking for the relationships that are destructive, the big physical burdens on their body, the environmental burdens on their body, the toxic burdens on their body. And yes, all of these, it's really great to grab all that low-hanging fruit, to grab all the big things and knock them off our list, because they are adding the stress response and the tension in your life. There's no doubt about it. But it's when we think that that's it, it's just all those big things that are causing the stress. We're really missing the deeper work. We're really missing the mark of healing, because it's not always just those bigger things. And in fact, it's mostly all the little things added up. The things that you don't think are really stress, the things that are just minor inconveniences, the way you talk to yourself, the patterns, the subconscious habits, the inner dialogue, the inner stress, the inner tension that comes from your everyday living and everyday choices, and all day long, constantly. And this is the real work, and this is what people miss. Because like, oh, I took care of the big things. I took care of the mold in my house, the black mold. I took care of, my diet. I took care of the air quality in my house. I took care of that big relationship. I divorced my husband. There's all these things that we think are the big, scary tigers coming after us that are activating our stress response. And it's just not true. The tiger's sitting there in the bush right beside us all day long, and that tiger is us. The tiger is within. And it's not jumping out, and it's not chasing us, and it's not making us run. It is just toying with us all day long. We're just looking around, we're scanning, we're on guard, we hear a little noise in the bush. It's this constant, am I okay? Am I safe? It's just this constant being on guard, being in stress all day long that is the real problem. It's watching Netflix when you feel guilty about not doing meditation, or it's doing meditation and thinking about your to-do list the whole time and being in conflict that you're not getting more done. It's, going to the grocery store and wanting to buy a whole organic and not having enough money, so getting something else and then beating yourself up for it. Sitting down after dinner to relax, and your mind is busy berating you for not getting up and doing the dishes. It's actually so fitting that my dogs just went crazy because they saw another dog, and my one dog tried to lunge at it and the camera nearly fell, and I had to get out her little beeping collar to give her a beep and a warning, and couldn't get them off the trail in time. So it's actually just fitting, right? Because this is just life. But then my mind starts to go, you should have left them at home. See, it's too stressful. It's annoying. You're not getting your meditation. You're not able to do your videos properly. Just leave them at home, right? But again, when I'm at home, my mind says guilt, guilt, shame, shame. Take your dogs for a walk. They love it. You love it, right? It's this dichotomy. It is life. It is our life. And it's how we think about it, how we process it, and how we handle it that matter. So stay tuned. We are going to get into this in the next video. It's really important first, though, that we become aware, that we really catch ourselves and become aware of all the times in our life and throughout our day that we are activated by stress, that we are in inner conflict with ourselves. And sometimes you just have to stop moving, to breathe, to look around, to let it out, to enjoy the view, right? To enjoy where you are, to ground yourself, to be in the present moment, to just sit here now, to be here now, to let go all of that inner conflict, to stop the inner critic, to stop the inner goodist, to stop telling yourself what you should be doing, and to just ground yourself in the now.
So mark it up, write it down. We are going to get through this. We are going to really understand A, what the stress response is, and then B, we are going to look at all kinds of ways to turn it off so that we can heal, which is the point, which is what we all want to do. So I hope this video has been helpful, and I hope you stay tuned for the next part.